Welcome to The Assist with Johnny Hustle. Today we're going to talk about analytics and reporting. I'm Johnny Hustle of the Lean Guys. With me I have Mustang Michael and our very special guest, David Cawthron of CribMaster. David, we are talking about analytics. Hey, hello. And so I wanted you to take a second and talk about what kind of analytics and reporting is available with the CribMaster product.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics. I think that most customers, when they deploy these types of solutions, that's really what they're asking for more than anything else is visibility and information to come out of the solution. So when you think about analytics and reporting, I think about the options that exist out there. Say an individual wants a report that shows who used what over the last week or last month. Those reports can be created, they can be scheduled in just about any format you can think of. Think of an Excel file or a PDF format, and then they can be sent automatically and generated automatically once scheduled to specific individuals or groups of individuals for review. There's also the other side of it too, from an analytics point of view, analyzing performance. When you think about, how much does it cost me to do this type of work from a job perspective or work order management perspective, all of those analytics are available and can quickly be put together within reporting segments. Analytically, you can look at, from a replenishment point of view, right? You can have analytics to say, hey, these items you use X, Y, Z of per given time frame. It also has the power to potentially calculate lead times and those types of things. So you can use some of the analytics that's powered by CribMaster to drive business decisions from that point of view. We offer some, true core template-based reporting. We also have some new models within our web-based environments that offer a little bit more custom type analytics and reporting. What I mean by that is you can take and almost create a custom report on the fly by clicking and dragging headers and that type of stuff. So the user experience is really about getting data in there and then giving them the option and kind of the avenue to go pull the data out in just about any kind of formatting that makes sense to their business.
Now, Michael, I know that with the work that we've done at different locations, I know that you did an awful lot of learning by pulling reports and getting some understanding. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned.
Yeah, at one place in particular, it was there was a union shop, and their biggest thing was, hey, we don't want our people punished for things that they might have done or not done, and not understand why they did it. So, as an example, there was an individual that was using drill bits like you wouldn't believe. It just seemed like he was using 10 an hour or just a lot. And so they ended up trying to understand that, and they went back, and it was this whole technique of drilling and how he was doing it. And so they came back and said, if you use lubricant or whatever the issues were, but they came back and used that as a learning item, and actually used that and shared it amongst a number of people. So that was a big thing, and to use it as a learning tool. We also, we had another one where a guy was actually using scissors and getting one every shift. And the reason he got them was because they were covered with glue. And they were like, well, why are you doing it? And nobody else is doing it. Well, they would clean off their shears. But it was a pain because he was using it for rubber work, had a lot of glue, and they were just uncomfortable to use. And so anyway, long story short, they made it so that they could clean them, put them back into the system because there was nothing wrong with them. And that's what they ended up doing. So.
Right. Yeah. Some of those reports are lagging, right? I mean, you collect a lot of data over a lot of time, yeah. But some of the reporting can be quite immediate. Like I can remember another story, Michael, of the antennas with the RFID tags actually telling you a last place seen of some different products, and you had to have kind of a go and look with one of the supervisors, haven't you?
Yeah, it was their last point read system, and basically it was kind of funny because the guy says, it's not in my office. It is just not in my office. I cannot find this paperwork. And what we had done was we tagged every piece of large envelopes with paperwork in it. And I said, well, look, I've looked everywhere. And by the way, you cannot see that it left your office. It hasn't been picked up anywhere else in the facility. And so, 2 months later, he called me up and he said, yeah, I found it. It fell behind a cabinet. And sure enough, there it was. So yeah, using it for that was, it doesn't lie. You know, it will tell you a story. You just gotta be willing to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to hear some of these dialogues, because in our world too, we think about PPE a lot, right? And I mean, name a place that doesn't use PPE. And in most environments, PPE is probably one of the most hoarded products that's on the site, is the PPE. And analytics tells you a lot about who's using PPE, how much they're using, are they using too much, and in some cases maybe they're using the wrong PPE, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, how many organizations have spent a little bit less on a glove to find out it was the wrong glove for the application, and that's when they could have spent a little bit more for the right glove and probably used a lot less gloves overall. And I always look at that too from PPE. I always think about it from the operation perspective, because analytics also gives you the ability to see maybe my employees aren't using enough PPE, right? And that's exposure to risk of injury if they're not getting it when they're supposed to be getting it, or replacing it when they're supposed to be replacing it, that you may never know without any kind of reporting or analytics to support it.
You know, it's funny you bring up the glove story, because we worked, both Michael and I worked in a manufacturing plant that used sheet metal to make their products, and lots and lots and lots of it, and it was everywhere. And the mechanics used a certain type of glove because it had better dexterity, and then the operators would use these very cut resistant gloves. And there were many times where the operators would go a long ways out of their way in their plant to go find where the mechanics gloves were, and take the mechanics gloves, because they did have a better dexterity, better feeling, but they were not cut resistant, you know, so they were not the right gloves for the job. And you know, even though the plant worked hard at keeping those people separated from those gloves, you know, people would go a long ways out of their way to get them. So by putting the CribMaster toolboxes in place, or the vending machines in place, we were able to make sure that they did not have the access to get to those gloves.
Yeah, I think it goes back to most customers that are engaged with CribMaster for whatever solution that makes sense for their business. In most cases, they're asking for visibility, right? I mean, when you really think about it, they're not as concerned about someone taking it as much as they are understanding, do they have what they need in order to do what they're supposed to do with it? And when you can give them visibility, the only way you can get that is by creating transactions and reporting on it. And when you can give them the analytics to review, that's really what they've asked for. It's not up to the solution to really change the business. It's up to the people to analyze the information to make the business changes. And without the reporting, you don't have a lot of tools to be able to make those changes on the fly from that point of view.
Well, you know, Michael and I were just looking at some analytics from several years ago on another big metalworking company, or you know, heavy metal fabricator, and they were using tons of weld wire, and we were looking at the analytics of how much weld wire they were using, and it wasn't that they were using it, it was that they were throwing away so much of the weld wire because of the expiration once the package was opened. So we utilized CribMaster product to one, as part of a system. One, we hermetically sealed the weld wire, we dried it, sealed it, and then put it into the CribMaster product line, and then we would issue it as much smaller packets. So we had tremendous savings, and we're able to show that savings throughout that organization, only to find out recently that that lesson learned was not passed on to their sister organizations. So it's going to be one of those things that we will, again, work with CribMaster to try to make happen at the other facilities as well.
Yeah, because that was a significant savings, and just a no-brainer to do what we did. And their biggest issue was moisture getting into the weld wire. And we
never would have known that without the analytics. You know, you got to have the reporting and the analytics so you can create the understanding and get the visibility. And that's really, like you said, David, it's all about the visibility.
Yep.
But it also brings too another important piece there that I think that a lot of customers don't, or they lose some sight of, is that it's also proof. You know, I took this weld wire to do this job for this type of weld process. So
Yeah, that's right.
So from a documentation standpoint, if you have a failure, you have traceability to what was issued, lot number traceability, all those other reporting features that you get from that otherwise typically is stated on a spreadsheet somewhere on a manual notebook that you may never find that piece of paper to be able to prove.
That's a really good point, David.
Right.
Traceability is huge, especially in the organization that we were just talking about, and many of our other organizations that we work with as well. Well, anyhow, we've gone on a little bit. What I'd like to do is do a quick little plus delta. Let's just, David, I want to start with Michael first. Michael, looking at this discussion that we had today, what was something positive that you got out of this and something that you'd change for the future?
Well, I think that, you know, the fact that reporting, you know, is a big piece of CribMaster. I mean, being able to have that information, the analytics. I just don't think enough people know it. And I'm hoping that, you know, with these discussions that we're having, people are going to learn the power and the, you know, the capabilities of CribMaster. So I just think personally, it's just, again, a no-brainer.
David, something positive and something you'd change?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that this is a struggle within my position and role within the organization constantly, because we design solutions to solve problems, and sometimes we don't design it all the way through the reporting side as much as what we thought they did, right? So
sure,
we've handed them these great solutions that solve their problems, but we don't give them the entire arsenal of reporting capabilities that they may need to capitalize on them. So I think there's always that piece of it. I need to make sure that we keep at our forefront that the data is really going to make the change.
All right, and so my positive is I'm glad that we got at least this discussion started with reporting and analytics. Unfortunately, we really can't spend as much time as I'd like to on these topics. So we're going to do these in smaller bites going forward. So I'm sure that this is going to blossom into many other things, and hopefully our listeners will put in the comments below on what they would like to see us talk about when it comes to data and analytics and those things. And so with that, I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. If you like what you see and want to see more, please hit the like button below and subscribe. If you want to hear more or learn more about CribMaster products or how to integrate CribMaster into your process, please take a look in the information below. We have contact information, and we'll be seeing you again soon. Till the next time, this is Johnny Hustle. Peace out.